When most people talk about China, the names are always the same. Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, maybe Guangzhou. These cities have become symbols of China's success, Tier 1 powerhouses that dominate headlines, host international conferences, and attract global investment. But here's the truth, they're not the only game in town anymore. In fact, they're no longer where China is placing its quiet bets. The real story, the one that's quietly shaping China's next decade of outbound influence, is happening in places most people don't talk about. Mid-sized cities, Tier 2 engines, secondary hubs with Tier 1 ambition. And if you're in Singapore, this matters more than you think. Because the companies and professionals who build early relationships in these cities are the ones who will shape the next flow of trade, capital, and regional leverage. Let's start with what's shifting. China's economic strategy is no longer focused on pouring more investment into the same saturated cities. Coastal hubs are congested, expensive, and increasingly complex to navigate. Talent is expensive. Space is limited. And foreign firms entering now are often too late to gain meaningful traction. So Beijing is doing something different. It's unlocking the next wave of outbound partnerships from a new layer of cities. Cities like Hefei, Chengdu, Nanning, and Changsha. These aren't small towns. They're major players with populations in the millions, robust university systems, and strategic infrastructure already in place. And more importantly, they're being prepared. Policy banks are injecting capital. New trade zones are being launched. RMB-cleared corridors are being tested. And regional connectivity, especially toward ASEAN, BRICS, and the global south is being prioritized. Let's take Hefei. 10 years ago, it was barely on the international radar. Today, it's a semiconductor hub backed by the Chinese state, major foundries, innovation clusters, and public-private partnerships have been established there. It's not flashy, but it's effective. And it's drawing quiet capital from both domestic and foreign investors who understand where the future is being built. Then there's Chengdu. It's become a serious AI and software hub with smart city pilot zones and deep integration with belt and road infrastructure. And Nanning, the quiet logistics launchpad linking China's inland provinces to ASEAN markets. While most Singaporeans have never even heard of it, Beijing has reclassified it as a Tier 2 priority for outbound trade. These cities aren't just developing, they're being positioned. They're not chasing media coverage. They're not building for tourists. They're becoming the functional gears of China's next global trade machine. And that's exactly why they matter. Because when infrastructure is being laid, and policies are being written, that's when the leverage is highest. That's when foreign partners have the most room to shape outcomes. And that's when professionals from trusted hubs like Singapore can step in and build back-end roles that last. But here's the problem. Most Singaporeans are still watching the headlines. They Google Shenzhen or Guangzhou and think that's where the opportunity is. But by the time something hits the top of search results, it's already matured. The relationships are locked in, the partners are chosen, and the back end is already being managed by someone else. That's why this window, this very quiet, very specific window is so critical. If you're in legal, finance, logistics, trade facilitation, or tech advisory, you don't need to be famous. You need to be early. You need to be where China is building structure, not hype. Because China isn't just building factories anymore, it's building corridors, it's structuring RMB-based payment channels. It's standardizing digital customs clearance. It's setting up arbitration frameworks for ASEAN trade. And in every one of these moves, it needs neutral, reliable, regionally fluent partners. That's Singapore's play. We don't need to be loud. We need to be useful. And usefulness doesn't come from watching big headlines. It comes from understanding what's quietly being built in mid-sized cities that are ready for international interface. The consultants who build compliance systems in Nanning. The lawyers who structure joint ventures in Hefei. The logistics experts who map last-mile delivery from Chengdu to ASEAN. These are the real players of China's next chapter. Because the future of China isn't just Tier 2 glitter, it's Tier 2 function. And the faster Singaporean professionals grasp that, the faster we stop competing with noise, and start creating real, quiet leverage. So what should you do now? Start tracking the non-obvious. Follow the capital, not the headlines. Look at where rail corridors are expanding. Read where RMB pilots are being tested. Ask where China is sending its policy bank delegations. And then ask yourself, where can I plug in? Because once these systems are mature, the space to insert yourself shrinks, and the people who moved early, quietly, with trust and function, they become the system. This is the time to move, not later. Now, drop a comment with "in" if you want to join our private Telegram group where we track verified, early-stage China updates specifically for Singaporeans who want to engage with this next wave. No fluff, no noise, just signal.